Forgive me for the delay with my final day in Lebanon's report. In my defence, I've been busy, guys. I've either been hanging out with Lebanese people, eating their beautiful food and having great times with them. I've been trying to sleep. I've been flying, or I've been trying to avoid getting arrested at the airport when I came home. The final day in Lebanon began with a very humbling experience. We visited victims of the recent pager attack all over Lebanon. You know the pager attack, guys, that was so lauded in the West as an example of the ingeniousness of the Israeli military, with Netanyahu giving Trump a little golden pager as well. So chic and so trendy and so lauded. Wasn't there a 60 Minutes episode on these brilliant Israelis and their lovely, lovely attack on the people of Lebanon, by the way, which has been cited by pretty much all the human rights groups as a war crime, currently being investigated as a war crime right now. But again, in the West, it's seen as just collateral damage. So I met some of the collateral damage. I met Zainab, I met Mustafa, I met Hussein, and I thought to myself, the Zionists and their supporters should be forced to listen to this testimony of people who aren't soldiers, by the way. Zainab is an interior designer left blind after the attack. Most of the victims are not military people at all, guys. It's really important to get your head around that, because what we hear in the West is, these are evil terrorists that need to be taken out. These are mostly children, community workers, doctors, academics. Mustafa is an extremely well thought of academic and social psychologist. I think the Israelis and their supporters should have to stand next to him, as I did, and watch as his beautiful little daughter, around the same age as my daughter, was brought into the room. And he took her in his arms, and and he's telling us that he can't see her anymore. So many of the children are in counselling as well at this moment in Lebanon, because they're dealing with the ramifications of their parents being disfigured, not being able to see them, trying to get used to that. Hussein was telling us that his wife was expecting a new child. I think that baby boy was born yesterday. A lot of Houthis. They, by the way, are just the best of us. Ahmed Hassan, you might have seen on my page, is going to be the next big thing in international comedy, if I have anything to do with it. And generally speaking, the Yemeni people we hung out with for the week, Houthis, how are ya? The kindest, funniest, most roguish individuals on planet Earth. My cripes, if you ever get a chance to go there or spend any time with them, they're actually the very best of us. People have been asking me all week, both in Lebanon and in Ireland, are people at home in the Irish media using your footage? I think I was one of two Irish people, along with my great friend Tara O'Grady, at one of the most, I suppose, iconic, one of the largest gatherings in the region, a funeral of the scale that I don't think Lebanon has ever seen before. Did anybody want any kind of footage of that, or information, or first-hand experience of that? So just to answer the question, yeah, the Irish media have been in touch. The Irish Independent wrote a hit piece on me today, moralising about my trip over there, and the Irish Times got in touch to ask me who paid for my flights. Now, I have to say I'm absolutely delighted, because I haven't heard anything from the Irish media really in 16 months, where there's been 2 genocides going on in the region. So I'm just delighted that they're all alive and they're all safe. The only other time the Irish Times mentioned me in the last year and a bit was when they criticised me for waving a Palestine flag at the end of one of my gigs. It's kind of mad though, isn't it? The Irish media's kind of perspective on it is a bit crazy, because, I was over in effectively a war zone, because the Israelis haven't stopped bombing at all.